now we're ready for the Finance, Facility, Service, and Insurance Report. Ms. Palmer?
7A, discuss financial impact of international pay for Camp D closure.
Mr. Watson, again? I can't hear you. Yes, correct.
The IP closure.
Yes. At the request of Dr. Eloy and the board, we went and visited the tax assessor. What we're trying to do is to determine what the impact of the IP closure would be to the school board and to primarily also to District 7. District 7, without having a visual to show you, is basically everything north and northeast of the Red River. That's the taxable district. So obviously the IP Camp D facility is in that area. So the question to us all is, how much will this impact us? So the tax assessor, I gave y'all the two attachments. One was directly from Yolanda. Reed is the new tax assessor, taken over from Tim Page. She provided this, and you will see that on her thing, she has line items 1 and 2. It says general school, 4.65 mils. The value of the property that was taxable at this IP mill was $56,562,000. The 4.65 mils is the constitutional amount given to public schools. The special tax is $7 million. Those two combined are the general fund impact. So general fund will be reduced by that amount. If you go down, line number 13, this is the one that really impacts District 7. This is a combination of 12 mills for BRE, 8 mills for the bond, service of the bond that was passed back in 2017. Is that right, Mr. Revenaires? 2017, I think it was.
Yes.
And there's also 10 mills that was just recently passed for Gold Donna support. So if you'll now look at the one I presented, which is coming, how much does it impact us directly? You can see that in the middle column at the top, the total, $1,696,860. That's coming from Yolanda's number. That is now spread out over the BRE. It is a 60% reduction in revenue in District 7. So, for example, BRE, which is building repair and equipment, so building maintenance of the 3 facilities we have, Fairview Alpha, Gold Donna, and Lakeview, it's going from $1.132 million a year down to $454,000. Bond 8 support is at $755,000. It will be reduced to $302,000. We will have to make an adjustment there. We still have to service that bond. The special Gold Donna 10 mills is $944,000. That is an estimate, and that will be reduced down to just $378,000. That's 40% of on all 3 of these categories. But we need to also remember, parish-wide, you see the middle number, we're currently collecting throughout the entire parish $5,375,000 in general fund property tax. That will be reduced to $4,716,000, a 12% reduction. I did not know this, but IP Camp D pays $5.743 million in total property taxes. 41% of that came straight to the school board, and that will be disappearing. So the current plan is to demolish the space, and or at least at minimum be declared obsolete while it is being deconstructed. Because they have a lot of EPA environmental stuff. Can y'all not hear me? right, so it's gonna be 41% of the taxes collected at the IDP. So it's $2,355,000 reduction across all areas. And we're going to have to make some adjustments with that, okay? So, was there anything else that the board members needed me to explain? Or maybe anybody from the audience as well?
Mr. Lee?
Yes,
So
sir.
this would be for, we're guessing 26, 27 school year, right?
Correct. We just collected, as I brought out the budget a moment ago, for this year. We collected this year. And so that this year ends in June. Next year, because the property wasn't active this year, they will get taxed in November, pay in December. We'll collect that tax for $5.7 million.
So if there is a type of demo process over the next 2 to 3 years, I mean, will something be drawn off of that? I'm assuming the property value will still be, there will be something.
There will be a minimal, there will always be a minimal property tax, but it will be reduced, and my understanding was it's just going to be a green field when it's all said and done. They're going to have to dig it up and take the EPA, they have to follow these EPA rules. They estimate about 3 years.
And Mr. Wallace, we did ask that specific question to Ms. Yolanda. She did not feel comfortable being able to give us any sort of estimate of what that would be. I think her statement was it would just be a fraction of, yeah. So,
I would rather act as if the money was completely gone and then be surprised, if we did much more than, like I said, just a small token of what we currently do.
Thank you.
Sure. Any other questions?
What was before the VRE was put to 12 mills for Castada and 7, what was it at?
My understanding was it had just been brought up to 12 mils when I arrived.
Okay, you were, okay.
But I think it was at 7 or 8.
And do we know what it was pulling, or can we get that info?
What you mean by pulling?
Yeah, what did that 7 mills bring in?
It's like 265.
I know it wasn't a lot, that was the point in upping it, and then when we upped it, we were surprised at the amount we got. We got even more than
Well,
expected.
also the taxable base went up.
Right.
Yeah, because of oil and gas right there, it was kind of a 1-2 punch.
I just would be interested to know what we were pulling at that, with that 7 mills back then.
Well, I will tell you that there was a lot of deferred maintenance going on.
Oh, I know.
What I mean is things weren't being repaired like they should have been at that number.
Okay, board members, any other questions for Mr. Wasco? Thank you, Mr. Wasco.
Okay, 7B, discuss and consider approving AHEC of a summer 2025 agreement.
Yes, ma'am. That's our AHAC agreement, and the only reason it's under finance is there is a $1,400 stipend that will be paid to the teacher. This is a program that exposes our students to the healthcare field, and it's a pretty special program. They get to do a lot of stuff that I would not want to do at all, but it's really, really cool, and we signed this up.
One stipend for one teacher?
Yes, $1,400 stipend. Correct.
Rebecca, please.
Thank you, Ms. Palmer. So item number 8, personnel, Linda Page, discuss and consider approving updated NPSB sick leave bank policy.
Ms. Page has asked me to go over, there's some recent legislation that mandate that school districts create sick leave banks. And this is the policy to address that. We looked at some other districts, and we got with Ms. Page, Ms. Weinger, and Ms. Sheldon, and they were able to put together what it will allow a school to do, or employee to do with some parameters, is to say, hey, I have 60 days leave, and this teacher who has 0 is facing a really uphill battle with some sort of illness. They can donate so much to this bank that then that person will be allowed to Yeah, it has to be catastrophic, and the illness that is. So this is a real benefit to our employees, and there's some really good parameters that make sure that there's no abuse of it. But this is something that will help a lot of folks who are facing those things that you don't ever plan for, and they're just catastrophic in nature.
Okay, so it has on here last review, January the 13th. Is that with the revisions or?
No, ma'am. So we originally put it in place whenever we did the wholesale adoption of all policy with LGA. But this was, we felt like there were some gaps there. So this is some revision to be updated to maybe get more teeth to it and more, make it more accessible to the average employee. Correct. You cannot pull back what you donated, but we also set parameters of how much you can donate so you don't put yourself in a situation where you're going to have to come back and have to get leave donated to you. So.
Thank you very much. So we are moving on to the executive report, and we do have 2 people who would like to speak. Thank y'all for turning in your forms. And Mr. Danzy, I'm going to let them speak before we do your report, if that's okay.
That's fine.
Okay, so I believe we put a microphone at the podium. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Mr. Carl Sides, you're first. And this is only germane to item 9A on the agenda.
Yeah, we can just bring it to.
Okay, I'll,
Yeah, but my 3 minutes be up by the time I get there.
okay, just don't speak too loud.
Yes, good afternoon. I went to Niagara Central High School. This is a school that was given to us by the federal government when Old Central High School was falling down and everything else. It is very sad to say that somebody talking about closing something that you love. Huh?
The agenda item is discussing considering the move of Gold High School, so your speech will need to be in reference to that.
Oh, okay then. Oh, well, good. All right then.
So
Just
that
change the
item
name.
was discussed.
Oh, you say go down?
Yes, sir.
Okay then, well, I don't, where you get your cheap mic from? Can you hear me? Yeah. It's sad that any school be closed down. No matter where it is, what the condition of the school, and how many people they have in the school. And it's not an issue of, well, let's close the school down simply because of the fact they don't have enough people going in and everything else. But you got to add this school into the situation, what I'm going to say, so you understand what I'm talking about. We would lose a lot more by closing this school here down than we would go down because they are a downside school. But I don't know how you all feel about it and anything else, but my issue is that if it needs to be closed and then come to other schools, that should be, suitable for anybody. So it's not a white-black issue. We integrated a long time ago, and we need to stick to this. If we got to bust them, let's bust them like we do anybody else. Here you go, boss.
Thank you, Mr. Sizes. We have another speaker on item 9A, Rosemary Washington.
Hello, how are you doing? I'm Councilwoman Eli for District 4. And I have a question to the board is exactly what repairs need to be done for Gold Hour?
So, Mr. Ryan Shelby, can you speak on that, please?
Same situation going on is here. Major roofing issues, structural issues. The gym is in very, very terrible shape. It's an old building, and it would take millions of dollars to bring it back up. I'd like to do.
And my next question is, who are giving these bids? Are y'all going out for 3 bids, or is this a random number that we're
No,
getting?
ma'am, these numbers are brought to us by engineers and architects.
Okay, what engineering company is that?
What is it, Perry Watson?
Harry Watson.
Watson, and I can't think of the other guy, but Perry Watson Engineering is actually who is doing all the preliminary stuff.
Okay, so that's just one.
Yes.
So do y'all go out for 3 bids, or just one?
It's not a bid. When you go out and do this, this is how much it costs to remodel a structure per square foot.
I understand
Just
that.
like if you're building a home. You can go out and build a home, they're gonna tell you that to build this home at 1,800 square feet, it's gonna cost roughly between $175 and $225 a square foot. Same way as a remodel. They give us a base price. So this base price you're given is $17 million for this. We haven't even done Gold Dome, because the Gold Dome situation is too far gone. We haven't even got there.
So we just basically just have one person for that, as I thought. My next question is, you're the one that's basically, and your construction, is the one that's basically was doing the repairs to that building.
Yes, ma'am.
You are speaking of
We
Gold
actually
Dome.
done.
I am, Agenda A.
Okay. We are the ones that are doing something. We have contracted out roof repair on it. We've contracted out plumbing to have plumbing done on it. We've done inside, so it's been both inside and out. So we've done work and we've had outside construction companies do work for us as well.
So is there any type of warranty put on that repairs at first?
We have not been able to repair the roof for the same reason we haven't been able to do this one. So
I'm not on, NJH yet, I'm on Agenda A. Okay, when I get to that one, I'll ask you about that one. But you said that it wasn't any repairs done to the building.
Ms. Washington, your 3 minutes is up. We appreciate your input. Mr. Dancy, if you'll proceed.
I'd like to ask, I don't know if they understood, she was saying by bids. We haven't even, correct me if I'm wrong, we hadn't went out for bids. We are seeing what it need to be did to the building, then you go out for bids.
But y'all got one.
Well, but our architect, most people have one architect. When you build a house, your architect draw your plans and everything, and then you go to the bank and put it out for bids. Where if I bid $10,000 cheaper or somebody bid higher, then that, because we hadn't put it out for bids. All we are trying to see is what we need, then they'll go out for bids.
Okay, so we basically don't have a actual.
We don't have a bid, we have what it should cost to
Okay,
bid.
so we're just doing sums of numbers, but not an actual really bid, so that's what I'm getting. So we're not doing an actual really number, we're doing an assumption of the number.
Well, the architect tells you what you need, and it tells you that it's gonna cost $1 a foot or $10 a foot, and then you go out and put it out for a bid, and then you get what you get. You don't know what the price is. You know a percentage of what it's gonna be, but you don't actually know what the cost until you bid it out. Then when you bid it out, when we put it out for a bid, one person can bid or 50 people can bid, and then you go on the cheapest bid. And you should know that you're on the city council. You should know that with the city council, you get your architect, when y'all was doing with the water system, you got an architect came did one architect came did your water system, then y'all put it out for bid. So we are public entity just like the city council,
Yeah,
public
I know-
entity, and you do the
I
same
know
thing.
that, but I was wondering also too, since I'm allowed to have an open floor, Ms. Reba, but.
You're not allowed to have it before 9:08, Mr. Dancy.
I was just answering your question, what you
But why
had
would the
said
architect-
to us.
Why have the architect have to be here like, as you say, that the city council, the architect should be here? Because I don't know if it's actually really numbers given by the board exactly.
Ms. Washington, thank you so much. We're going to get to those agenda items, and then we have our town hall open to at 6 o'clock.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Dancy.
The next 9A, we've talked about that. Let's go to item D, 9B for the calendar. And You want to pass that off till next week, calendar? No.
We can talk about, and then we also have speakers for 9B.
Okay. Or 9B, discuss and consider 2025 and 2026 Natchez Parish School Board year calendar.
Mr. Carl Sines, you wanted to speak on that item as well? We have you down for 9D, the school calendar. Okay, yes.
You talking to me?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
No,
Now, it has A, B, C, and D. I don't want to short your time.
No, just skip
You're
the
good.
calendar.
Okay. Or Ms. Washington, did you want, you've got D on yours too?
I did.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you again.
We got your time started.
Okay. My question is I know that the teachers are allowed to do the count to the vote on it, but as we as bus drivers are getting short-handed out, so I think that it should be more evaluated of how the days are being calculated. The days out is because it's hearing a lot of ones and stuff that's bus driver, and that's the only job that they have, you know, more than, and we basically, they have a lot of days out of school, and it's unnecessary to say that we have kids that need more learning to test scores. So more than that's my biggest concern for the Natchez Parish School, since we're supposed to be no kids left behind. A lot of them are being left behind because of the days that we are giving to school. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to item 9B, discuss and consider moving 6th grade from Fairview Alpha Elementary to Lakeview Junior and Senior High School for the 25. Oh,
Ms. Martin. Yes. Sorry, y'all. I feel like in our different locale, we're all getting sea legs.
I didn't know if y'all were doing this now or later. Where do y'all want me? Want me over there?
You're good right there.
Okay.
Are you on the summary of the actual calendar?
So,
Are you on the summary?
Or the actual calendar?
on the summary.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So I do want to present the Teaching and Learning Department's recommendation for the 25-26 school year calendar. There was a packet on board docs with 4 documents that I'll use to explain the summary and the recommendation. The first document is about the school calendar prep work. These are the steps used to gather input and create the calendar drafts. So in December, faculty and staff were surveyed for input for the NPSB newsletter. In January, we used those survey results to draft calendar proposals. In February, that was a big month for developing options. The parent advisory group and the principal group were asked for input. And then we had a school representatives work session where to finalize the drafts, and then those campus representatives brought the drafts back to their schools for a vote on a preferred option. So the results from the survey showed no significant change desired in our yearly calendar. The current calendar framework is supported by the majority of faculty and staff, and the full week for fall and winter break is very popular. For the work session, those campus representatives, we reviewed the calendar parameters that I'll tell you about in a second. We previewed the proposals, finalized those drafts, and then those proposals were taken back to campuses for vote, and the campuses voted on either February 13th or 14th. So the most important document leading into the summary is the parameters we consider to make decisions for the calendar. Of course, Bulletin 741 requires 63,720 minutes of minimum minutes for instruction per year. For our district, we have 385 minutes of instructional time per day. You'll see that gives us a sum that is an overage compared to the minimum minutes required by 741. That is 2.5 days per weather built in.
Can you say that one more time? We have more minutes needed on the calendar.
Yes, so that second bullet on the parameters document, having 385 minutes in our instructional day gives us a sum of 64,680 minutes in the year, which is an overage compared to the 63,720 required. So that overage is our built-in 2.5 weather days. That gives students 168 instructional days with 176 days for teachers. That includes 5 PD days and 3 parent-teacher conference days. And so sometimes I get questions about teachers working more days than students coming, but that reminder is State Law 17-154-3 does state that teachers need to work 5 additional days and when students attend. So that is our 5 PD days, and the other 3 are parent-teacher conference. We work really hard to balance semesters. This next year will be our 8th school year with this framework of the calendar. So we work really hard to balance the semesters because of high school credit earnings and teacher leaves and retirements. There are 84 days in a semester for students and 88 for teachers. We really work to maintain the fall semester ends for high school when we leave for Christmas, so that since we're on the block system, when they come back for Christmas, the fresh semester is beginning for high schoolers. And then we try to maintain strong weeks by avoiding chunk weeks. There is a state policy that an even number of years, we must close school on the first Tuesday following the first Monday in November for Election Day. So that brings me to the calendar in your packet. This calendar is supported by 92% of the faculty and staff voted district-wide. Therefore, this calendar serves as the Teaching and Learning Department's recommendation for the 25-26 school calendar. You can field questions if you have them, but other than that, we look forward to your approval. Mr. Benefield.
I do have a question,
Okay.
and thank you for this in-depth report. But we were out of school literally 50 days between May and the start of school next year. Have we thought or considered or even discussed the fact that we could add 1 or 2 more Christmas breaks in and be right at year-round school? 50 days is not a long time.
So we did consider that, that before we had this calendar framework, we typically had 12 weeks of summer. That was during my classroom years. With this, getting out on Friday before Memorial Day and coming back the first Monday of August, we typically have about 10 to 11 weeks. But through survey results, we really aren't getting comments negative about that from teachers and staff because the fall and winter break full week is so popular. So it just shows us through the survey comments that even though this will be the 8th year next year, that we start the first week of August instead of the 3rd week, they enjoy the full week of fall and winter break so much that they're willing to come on back in August. Like
Well,
earlier
that
in
would
August.
remain the same if you did a balanced calendar similar to what I just suggested. Has that been discussed?
No, because the survey results, we didn't get any comments requesting a balance, like a balanced year. So therefore, we didn't draft any of that because we didn't feel like it was necessary in the comments we got. It was very positive comments,
Well, I'm not talking about changing the dates at that point, but I'm just inserting a couple more Little League Christmas breaks and you're there. Well,
Yeah, we haven't drafted anything like that yet.
Any other questions for Ms. Martin? Thank you so much. I know that was a lot of work, and we appreciate all your help with that. And Mr. Dancy, going back for a second, just to let the board members know, we're going to travel back to 9A because we did not actually discuss that item. So we're going to go back, and then we're going to go B and C. And then that'll put us back on track. And I think we all got a little bit off track because we have a speaker for each one of these items. So we're going to go back to A, and y'all have already spoken on A. So discuss and consider the closure of Goldana Elementary Junior High for the 25-26 school year. Mr. McBride.
I put it on there because with the IT closure and all the money, the tax that we're losing, and the kids instead of dropping out there, and when they even passed the tax, it wasn't enough to cover what the debt that they had out there, and now it's getting more, and we're gonna have to take out the general fund, and I don't think it's fair for Natchitoches, put the whole Natchitoches Parish and all the other schools and we are taking out of the general fund to keep that one school open. Because, you know, I don't want my tax money from general fund to go to keep something open that they didn't even do hell of they in to get the money to keep their school open. Because they could have, where even now, if they done went to what it was supposed to be, and to get enough money to take care of the deficit they had. Now it still wouldn't be with IP closing, so that's one reason I put it on that we need to consider it. And that's it.
Okay. Any questions or comments for Mr. McGuire or the item number at all?
Yeah, I'll speak to it. We had this same discussion a year ago, and unfortunately, we live in a different world than we did a year ago. And with the hit that we're taking, the district's taking, especially District 7, I do believe it's something that we should consider and discuss. And it's a very unfortunate situation, but as a representative of that area, I can tell you that we do have to consider it. And I think that I would hope that everyone would understand that with the situation we're in now. Tough decisions have to be made, and I think we all agree.
Thank you, Mr. Brady. Any other comments from the board?
Ready for 9B?
Yes, but before we talk about 9B, go ahead and announce 9B, and then we'll move to our speakers.
9B, discuss and consider moving 6th grade from Fairview Alpha Elementary to Lakeview Junior Senior High School for the 25-26 school year, resulting in Fairview Alpha being pre-K to 5th and Lakeview becoming 6th to 12th in the 25-26 school year. And Mr. Frady would like to speak to that, I think.
Okay, before we start discussion, we do have two speakers, and Ms. Rosemary Washington, we have you for that item.
Thank you again. My concern is, what is the reason for combining these schools together? Is it a leak?
So we're actually going to get to that during the agenda item. We have
Okay.
different people speaking on that.
Well, that agenda item was put on by Mr. Frady. So
Yeah, so it wouldn't be a combining of two schools, it would just be moving 6th grade from Fairview to Lakeview, and you still would have Fairview and Lakeview as separate schools.
So what's the reason?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna discuss that once y'all are done with your question. Or with
Okay,
your
so
comments.
that's fine with me, but yeah, that's what I like to know. I didn't know there was a leak there too. So, here you go.
Okay. Mr. Carl Sice, we have you on for the same agenda item.
Yeah, don't move. So, moving the kids from one school to the next school, what would we feel in the vacants from moving those children from one school to the next school? What y'all feel in that vacancy at the other school?
Well, there are plenty of schools in the district that have empty classrooms, so it would, Lakeview has plenty of empty classrooms, Fairview has empty classrooms now. So you wouldn't, unless you get more students, you would not fill those classrooms.
So this shows also an impact of the plant shutting down and why it's kind of strange that we build our reputation on a plant and look for everything to come in from them. And I think one of the presidents made a statement is like, he said, it ain't what your country can do for you, it's what you can do for your country. So when are we gonna stand up and take whatever it is because we didn't do something right? I can understand moving children, moving this person, this. It's gonna be a big congestion because they leave from one school to the other because somebody didn't do the proper work, the homework, or this year. We should base our life on the mill closing down, because life still goes on. Here you go.
Thank you, Mr. Sice.
Yes, ma'am. So with all the changes that could be coming,
Give him the mic, please, give him the mic so we can hear.
You got Chris on.
I got it.
Press on.
Can y'all hear me? Hello? Can you hear me now? Okay. So with all the changes that could be coming, Lakeview / Fairview would be the only school without 6th through 8th together. And with the direction of middle school these days, I think that giving those 6th graders the option to be at Lakeview, combined with through 8th grade, they would have more opportunities. I think they would be exposed to programs sooner, ROTC, FFA, sports, things like that. This would not be a negative for Fairview because they have done a job with these kids. Their growth, there's proof there. We've seen the numbers. It's been mentioned a lot of times, the growth that they've had. So I think it would be a good move and the right time to do it with all that we have going on. This has nothing to do with the middle closure per se. This is just the timing of it. So I would ask the board to consider it. And, I think some may say 6th grade at a high school with older kids. I think maybe it's the perfect place to do that. You go into the school, basically in the middle, you have a library, and you have a junior high side and a high school side. They would cross over for lunch. We do different lunch shifts. I went to school there myself in 7th and 8th grade. I barely was on the high school side. If I was, I went straight to one class, sat in that class, and went back to class. So, and it's a lot of the students there now, so I think if there's negative comments that, hey, I want to send my 6th grader to Lakeview, those same parents weren't going to send their 7th grader to Lakeview next year. I feel that pretty quick. But I do think that the parents can get back. I'm a parent myself, so I'm willing to hear all those. But that's really all I got. Thank you.
I wanted to speak to.
I wanted to speak to the staff's feeling on this because we did do some reviews of it per se. The only change personnel-wise, after the discussion this morning, would be probably 3 people would have to be added to Lakeview staff with a reduction of 2 at Fairview staff. So in addition, overall, of 1 more person to the master schedule. But that's a minimal. I will say this, I mentioned this to Mr. Brady, and this is just full disclosure. Currently, Fairview is having a little more success with those middle school students than Lakeview has, with the caveat that Lakeview does have a new principal and things are moving in a positive direction over there. So we don't want to put that point in a vacuum. But as of now, in the past year, that is the lay of the land, so to speak. Correct. He's midway through his first year. I just want y'all to have all the details prior to the vote on this. And Ms. Madam President, we do have the principal from Fairview and the principal from Lakeview who are prepared to speak for 3 minutes on this as well. We typically do that, but I don't know, Ms. Brooke, would you like to speak?
Hello, thank you for allowing me to speak for a few minutes. I've been at Fairview for 13 years, and in that time, we have continued to grow. I believe we are one of the few schools since COVID who has continued, especially in a rural school district, to continue to grow our numbers. We are up probably over 60 students since COVID. Right now, we currently have 36 6th graders that will be going to Lakeview. And for the 5th grade that would be going to Lakeview next year, if this would be a move, it would be a small number of students. I'm not sure of the reason. I know we're talking about the junior highs, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, but what is happening at Fairview is working, and that's including having our 6th grade. I have spoken to a lot of 5th grade parents. They're not happy. They're happy with Fairview right now. They're happy with their students going to 6th grade at Fairview. And that's where we are currently right now. Thank you.
Mr. Stead, did you want to speak as well?
What's going on, everybody? First off, nothing but utmost respect for Ms. Williams and the accomplishments that she's made. The students we have that are in 7th grade this year are just blowing our mind by how well prepared they are for all of them. So thank you for that, Ms. Williams. And from my end, I do agree with Chad on the idea of, I'm coming from a cultural side of things where we're trying to create a Lakeview. And my thing at Lakeview is I've seen success from the 6th grade group. You get them, you mold them, and you create the culture I want to go to. And with what Ms. Williams is doing in her school and what she's pouring into, I want to, as my students would say, match that energy when it comes to academics. I want to build up from that. I do like the idea of getting the students young to cultivate the culture that I'm trying to create for the school. And our coin phrase this year is we are trying to level up Lakeview. And with that, I was speaking to somebody the other day. They brought up the fact, like Dr. always says, like, you understand that they are outperforming you academically. And I said, I love it because that gives me something to work toward, to work with Ms. Williams on. Mine is not to push on the Fairview community, not to push back on Ms. Williams. Mine is to take the good that they are doing and roll that in my culture that we have there, but I want to start at a younger age because it does play a role. And I'm going to speak to sports, I'm going to speak to just, again, back to the culture. If we have a chance to weed out, they're young, and we want to take and grow from what Ms. Williams has done and just build from that. Take them in 6th grade versus 7th grade, only like 2 years to grow from that. It's just more time to work with them, and then by the 12th grade, we start seeing the fruits growing a little bit sooner. And so, again, nothing but praise to what you're doing, Ms. Williams. I do see where it could be a benefit, but I also understand academic. That's a valid argument as well. And Ms. Williams, we're going to keep matching that energy and get there with you, right? So, thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you very much. Board members, do y'all have questions or comments? Chad, do you have anything else? Okay.
Thank you. Go to 9C.
Yes.
We'll take 9C, discuss and consider approving Natchez Parish School Board City School rebanding proposal to be implemented on 25-26 school year to include Weaver Elementary, 3rd to 5th, same building, Natchez Junior High, 6th to 8th, move to current Magnet building, East Natchez, site closure, Natchez Magnet, move to current East Natchez building, and Mr. McQuire. Comment on that?
Two of those. Mr. Carl Sykes, you have 3 minutes on agenda item 9C.
And as Mr. Watson's bringing the microphone, those of you who've come in, there are documents that show the entire proposal. I see a few people waiting.
Oh, okay.
Clear up site closure.
Site closure, apologies, site closure on East, that would mean that their site code would go away. Their students, their 5th grade students would go to Weaver, and their 6th grade students would go to the new iteration of Natchez Junior High. And so East, as it is today, no longer exists. The campus would still be there, but it would house Magnet.
Yes, get into this movement. Get into this movement, moving this school over to the Magnet school and moving the Magnet kids over to East Natchez. Why couldn't the children from this school go to East Natchez, leave the Magnet exactly where they at one point, at one time, y'all say they had a residence in the building over on the campus, so y'all moved them over at Parks, because y'all took Parks from us. Y'all house our children at LP Bourne in different schools. this school down, move the children over to Parks Elementary or the magnet school and move the magnet school over east. And once again, it doesn't make any difference how you look at it. Can anyone tell me why the kids from this school can't go over the east and leave the magnet exactly where they're at?
I can. When we started looking at proposals for this, everything came down to two variables. And those two variables were number of classrooms and number of students. And when we looked through everything, some of what you said, Mr. Sykes, we considered. But if you were to do 6, 7, and 8, I believe Ms. Martin told me a number that would get us close to 450 students per NJH. And that's simply, that could not exist at East. It could exist at the current Magnet campus, whereas the Magnet campus has around 323 students, 330 students, and the classroom issue. So it's a matter of those two things. As I told the board in the last meeting, you know, there's 3 different costs of this building. There's one initial cost for next year, which is $2 million, which could happen, but students would have to be removed as a major construction project. The next cost would be if we got everything fixed here, which would be around somewhere between, depending on the bid process, somewhere between $15 and $18 million. We don't have that money. The next thing would be to build a whole new school. Well, we didn't have $15 to $18 million, so the next option would be $40 to $50 million. We don't have that. So what we're trying to do, in essence, is solve a multi-million-dollar problem while not spending millions of dollars. And so what that left us with is very few options. We are, in a sense, blessed because, and I say this kind of ironically, over the past 20 years, we've lost students. Every year except for 2 years, we've lost students in Athens Parish. We think in the past 20 years, we've lost around 1,800 students. And so because of that, we have capacity, low capacity or low occupancy of many of these schools, which is allowing us to do this kind of move around and everything. But it basically came down to those two variables: number of classrooms and number of students.
Mr. Sykes, you have 1 minute left of your time, and I don't want to let you waste your time. So you have 1 minute, and then we'll move to Ms. Washington. And at that point, we'll actually move to the town hall portion of it. So Mr. Sykes, you have actually 1 minute and 8 seconds.
Well, I want to go out there because he's going to talk for almost 30 minutes. All right, then, well, we're going to leave that there, but it'll be another day on my show, but anyway. Getting back to this school here, I remember his dad loved this school, Mr. Benefit. I bet the mom loved the kids and everything else. And I think of it is it's a hard pill to swallow to lose this school. Now, y'all just got a big, brand new technology school over Assembly, right? So, if I would ask you how many millions did that cost to get that done, to compare to fixing this leaks in this school here? I mean, it's just simple. Here you go. Go ahead and answer. Superintendent, you answer.
Next comment. Yeah, we'll say that for the town hall, Ms. Washington.
Thank you very much. My concern is, I know you said something with the town hall. My concern is basically going to be on thank you. My concern is going to be how are we going to transport these children when we already don't have bus transportation with the drivers. So when y'all making this change, y'all not thinking of the transportation part. So y'all basically saying we're going to put them here where the principals and the teachers are already staying at the school because we happen to do 2 routes every day. So when make this decision, you gotta think about the drives of how these kids gonna get to and from school every day. So, that's all I have to say. Whenever y'all make this big decision, you have to think about us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Washington. At this time, we're going to move towards the town hall version of the meeting. And during the February meeting of the Natchitoches Parish School Board, we were presented options to revamp some of our city schools. We were also presented the financial and efficiency reasons that needed to happen. During the board meeting, the board decided that public input was needed for this undertaking. We appreciate all of you being here today. This is what led the way for the organized town hall meeting. We're officially adjourning the committee meeting. Can we get to the field? Okay, so Ms. Bernard, thank you for having us here today. We appreciate you and your time and your staff for allowing us to be here. And I will soon yield the floor to Dr. Eloy, who will give an overview of the same presentation that was made in February. Once he is finished, we'll have personnel from the Natchitoches Parish School Board who will be answering any of the fundamental questions you may have. We have a mic set up at the podium where you're welcome to stand and voice your concerns. We sincerely appreciate the great turnout tonight. Thank you all for being here. And Dr. Eloy.
The proposal, as we presented in February, was very detailed, and a lot of it concerned the context for this, which we've already gone over. So I'm going to do a somewhat abbreviated version of this, and then there's also some pieces that are very specific to personnel, things of that nature. So the basic premise of the proposal is, as I was speaking to one of the speakers earlier, trying to vacate, not abandon, but vacate this building and take 4 schools and move to 3 schools. And we've set the stage for why that is. I've taken several board members around this building. Specifically, it happened to be on a rainy day. It is quite obvious to even folks who aren't necessarily excited about this that there are major issues in this building, in this facility. And they are, in the current political climate of the economy and taxes where they're at, we just feel like the only option as a board and as a staff is to address this through a way that doesn't impact us in the millions of dollars that it would take to rebuild a school or rehab the school significantly. So the proposal is, in essence, and you know, we're here for as long as y'all are here, so any questions, if I gloss over something that you feel needs extra time, please ask any and all questions about that. But the basic premise is, as I stated before, East Natchitoches site code would close. It would still exist as a building. It's in very good shape. Weaver's in very good shape, and the current magnet is in very good shape. So East, their 5th graders would go to Weaver. So MR Weaver would move from a 3rd, 4th grade location to a 3rd through 5th grade location. That would get them to around, and I'm looking at my numbers here, they would move from 322 students to 498 students. For those of you who know the history of MR Weaver, there was a time where MR Weaver had over 600 students. So this is, they are able to have this and even have some growth within the building. They can accommodate all the needs there. There will be no change to programming. You just have an extra grade there. The 6th graders that would normally be at East would then become a part of really what we term more of a middle school concept. A junior high, that concept is kind of a little more outdated. When we were in school, every junior high was 7th or 8th grader, called junior highs. Now it's middle school. And every other school in the parish that has 6th graders, 7th graders, and 8th graders, with the exception of Fairview, which we spoke about already, is already in this model. And so sixth grade would go over to the junior high. Developmentally, that makes sense. What that would do, it would move NGH current enrollments, and these are based on current student projections, so they are subject to change. You would move from 312 students in the current 7th and 8th grade campus to around 486 students. If you're familiar with the Magnet campus, they may only have 330 students right now, but it is one of our largest campuses, and it can easily accommodate 486 students. And then finally, no real change except a geographic location change would be Magnet. They have around 330 students. They could move to the East Campus, and the East Campus would be able to allow for that capacity. What this does is there are a few things that, in spite of how anyone feels, there's some research that shows that some of this is an automatic positive. Right now, if you're a city school student, and I know many people, I've seen comments, I've heard comments, and I've heard all sorts of feelings about this, and I think all those feelings are legitimate. But one of the comments is about equity, specifically towards city school students, specifically towards African American students. But I have to highlight that one of the things we've done traditionally in this district is we have problem solving. Students go pre-K through 8th, problem solve. Then they go to Magnet Martha, pre-K through 8th. Then they go to Magnet Central. ELAC 11. Make one change, then Magnet Central. Magnet, pre-K through 8th, then Magnet Central. Fairview, pre-K through 6th, then Lakeland. Milan, pre-K through 8th, then Lakeland. The majority of the students outside the city banding are only having to transition once, maybe twice. Our city school students start at LP Long, move on to Weaver, move on to East, move on to NGH, move on to Magnet Central. 5 transitions for those students. 5 times they have to learn the name of the custodian. 5 times they have to meet a new school food service worker. 5 times they have to learn the nuances of the teacher whose classroom they're going to be in. 5 different behavioral systems. 5 different levels of expectation. 5 different mascots. 5 different sets of shirts and uniforms. And so what this does, we know the research says that transitions for students are not good. And I won't go into the details, but that's the premise of this. This would be a reduction in the number of times students have to transition. At the same time, you're looking at NGH, which I'm looking at my friend Ms. Harvey, who toured this building. And I think her words when she left, she said if she had a student here right now, not based on the amazing administration, not based on the amazing staff, but based on facilities, she would pull her student out immediately. And so what I can say is, again, using that word equity, this is a plan. It's not perfect. You can't have a perfect plan when you're trying to come up with a solution to a multi-million-dollar problem. But what it does do is it gives a good quality facility to every student in the city. Whereas right now, and I'm not being melodramatic when I say this, but right now, we have a group of students, specifically our NGH students, who do not have the same level of facility that the rest of their fellow students in the district experience on a day-to-day basis. Ms. Harvey and Ms. McGaskey happened to come on a day that was raining. There was trash cans in every classroom almost. There was mildew on tiles. There was just, the floor was moist. It kind of slipped and everything. It just is not a comfortable facility on a consistent basis. And so that, I told the board last month, this plan was not born out of, let's save money. I told y'all kind of jokingly, this plan did not come out of Mr. Wasserman's office to save a buck. Now, I'm not going to lie to you and say that there's not going to be savings by going from 4 schools to 3 schools. There's no denying that, and that would be intellectually intellectually dishonest for me to not state the obvious. But the conversation initiated because of the realization that this over 60-year-old building is not conducive to learning, and it is not equitable to the students of the city of Natchitoches. And so I know there's probably many feelings that harken back to my predecessor's predecessor, and many things that were done in the past that are legitimate, that make people frustrated with us as a board, even if it was done 30 years ago before anyone was on the board, except for But I know there are sins of the past, and we can't discount that those cause real feelings of distrust and real feelings of frustration and anger. But as I told my staff, we still at this point have to do what's best for children. And I know I can poll the audience and there's probably 20 different feelings of what's best for children. But I can tell you this building is not what's best for children. The facility, not the people. So that, yes, sir. Yes, so Mr. Sines had a question before we got started about the teaching, the tech building. I apologize, I believe the renovations on the central office. It's a very valid question. If I was in the district, I'd probably be on Facebook typing editorials myself. What I can speak to that is, number one, those two buildings combined, and I'm looking at Mr. Lawson, around 6 to 7 million.
Yeah, about $6.5 million.
$6.5 million for those two buildings combined. Would that have fixed the problem here? No. Would it have fixed that initial issue of the HVAC that we're saying is more of a $2 million problem? Yes, it would have, but there would have still been major issues besides that. The other thing I would say is those were ESSER dollars. Some of that money could have been spent here. Some of that money would not have been able to be spent here based on the federal guidelines of what ESSER could and could not be spent on. Many of the HVAC issues would have been something we could have spent the money on here. But again, as we've said, the HVAC issues are not everything. The other piece of what I would tell you is the tech building, and I'm looking at Mr. Coda, I think that was voted on in 2021, and it was completed in 23, or maybe early 24?
Early 24.
Early 24, but it was voted on in 21. Many of these issues that we talk about with NJH have exacerbated in that time period. Many of them weren't as significant at that time. And I can speak for the board when I say this. Had any of us believed that those problems were there at that time, when we went to do the tech building, the board would not have voted, and I believe it was unanimous, to proceed with that tech building if we thought that those problems would exacerbate at that point. And you may say that it's our responsibility to be able to predict these things. With some of the damage that's in this building, you aren't able to even realize it until the rain happens. And then we bring in our consultants and they fix some of this stuff. But much of it was revealed, unfortunately, the majority of the damage that's in this building was revealed this summer. And that came from a conversation between me and Mr. Shirley. He came to me extremely concerned with what he was pulling out of the ceiling tiles. Came to me so concerned that we did an emergency air study, which, thank God, that air study showed that it was not the things that everyone fears the worst of. It wasn't the toxic mold that you hear about in the news. It was, we actually have good air here, and it's because the HVAC system, albeit out of date, is exchanging air at a rate that keeps it healthy for our students and our staff. The question is, though, how long can we, with the water intrusion we have in the state of Louisiana, how long can we keep it as healthy as it is right now? And that's anyone's guess. So I've talked a whole lot. I know that's probably going to have a lot of questions. So, Mrs. Phelps, I think you're running the show.
Okay, so we want to give everyone a chance to talk, and we're actually going to let you choose whether you want to stand up where you are, whether you want to come to the podium, pull the mic, we can bring it to you as well.
building. 10 years ago, y'all knew all this was going on. It could have been big. I don't need the mic, I'm good. But the transportation for the children from Baylor Heights to whatever y'all gonna call parks, Magnet or whatever, what are y'all gonna do about that? I've called the school board because these kids, when they even standing out there at the bus stop, stand out there in the rain, I could put as many of them as I can in my car, but they couldn't get wet. Those other kids get on the bus, soaking wet every morning going to school. Now y'all gonna have all these children coming out of Baylor Heights, walking over there to whatever y'all gonna call the school.
Yes, sir, and I apologize. Are you speaking when they're
waiting on the bus in the
at
morning,
their
in the
homes?
mornings and in the evenings when those kids get off the bus, they be wet.
Yes, ma'am. Unfortunately, no matter what neighborhood they live in, when it is a rainy day and students are waiting for a bus stop, we don't have, I don't know how many thousands of covered bus stops we would have to have at every house. So unfortunately, when it rains,
They don't meet at the houses anymore, they meet at the corners in the street.
yes, ma'am.
Dr.
Yes, sir.
So we would be convincing from how many buildings?
We would be moving from 4 to 3.
So in reality, the transportation issue should get better because we have
I don't want to jump out and say that it's automatically going to be better because.
If you gonna put the kids over.
So what I'd like to say though is.
So no, that's not realistic. The transportation, I don't believe that at all.
Yes, sir, that's what I'm trying to say. I'm not going to jump out and say that transportation is going to get better because I know intimately how many people in this district feel about transportation, and there's a lot of frustration. There is potential that with one less stop, that drive times could be reduced, but that's in theory alone. You would have to see it in practice, and ECHO has not even, that they are aware of this, and they are starting, but as many of you know, they just hired a new terminal manager, so they are probably just at the very beginning stages of thinking how this will actually look.
Now this school year, I think they picked up one child from over in Baylor Heights from Brahma and take it to Magnet. So are you gonna do this for the rest of all these children you're gonna put over there?
So I think what we're talking about is probably something that needs to be addressed even outside of this discussion. And yes, ma'am.
This lady over here was next.
Sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'm not sure, hey, how y'all doing? This transportation thing, so if the kids are gonna switch from here to over there to Magnet, correct? Well, I live right here on Pauline Street. So does that mean that my kids will be taking a bus right across the street? Or else will they need to be categorized in walking distance and have to walk? Now, with that being said, I have observed, because I stay right up the street, there have been multiple cases. I even called the police department myself to even speak to like the resource officer, whoever was overseeing the transportation. I know I'm saying it wrong right now. Seeing who's watching, who's coming here or whatever, because they didn't have no crossing guard. So with this downside that y'all got going on, if the kids are to walk, are they gonna have someone at the top of Texas Street like they did years ago, or how is that gonna play out? Will y'all also be trying to figure out some way, shape, or form with the city to get a sidewalk to go there? Like, what is this gonna happen? Because of course, yeah, you're saving millions now by closing down, and yeah, it can go to other places, but are you gonna disperse it to where these kids are gonna have somewhere to just make it a little safer? Because I've watched staying here, kids that come from here, NJH, walk across that street. They have to look both ways 10 to 20 times. There is no courtesy. There is no officer there. So they sitting over there playing with their lives, just trying to get across the street. So if we gonna do this, are we gonna do it in a safe way? Because that is a big worry of mine. My kids, like I said, we right here. So I don't know if you fall in that guideline, because I think I heard one time before that is if you're in 1 mile of the school radius, you're classified as walking. So What's gonna go on with that?
Yes, ma'am. So you're speaking to a state law, and it is, I believe it is 1 mile. I have to check it correctly, but I believe it is 1 mile. This is, Armitrius is helping me out. But what I can tell you is, one of the topics you brought up is the crossing guard. That's something new to this, as we're walking through this, some things that's part of having this meeting that we find out. I can guarantee, and I'm looking at my staff, taking notes, I can guarantee you, and you can put this in stones, we will have a crossing guard for Texas.
Please do, because I'm one of the ones that don't mind posting on Facebook. I done done videos on Facebook. Pastor Harris has walked by my house and walked. They even done a study one time when all of the last big change with the traffic came through, and traffic for getting the kids out of school was hard with them. So it really needs to have a plan in place. If y'all are gonna do this, make sure y'all just make y'all bullet points, and that is one of the big ones, because them kids' safety, and they will have walkers. We already know they're gonna have walkers. So that's something that's really important.
So
Yes, ma'am.
we do have kids that go to Magnet that lives in Reedertown. They are picked up by the bus. So I don't see why the kids over here now that will be going to Magnet should.
We would have to work through that, and it's gonna be.
But they do get picked up in Magnet.
Okay.
To go to Magnet and they couldn't read.
Well, thank you, because mine will be on the bus from here to there.
And I will tell you, I cannot speak to any city infrastructure. We can always go to the city, but that's gonna be on them, but what I can tell you is one of the benefits in terms of infrastructure that this would help with is currently this building is, they have 10% of the city students, but they're consuming 27% of the building repair equipment. So to address things of that nature.
As long as those safety measures are outside of school grounds and not just on school grounds. We know they're gonna be safety measures taken there automatically, that's a given. We know that maintenance is gonna come in, that's a given. But as soon as those kids step 20 to 25 feet off of school property, what safety measures are gonna be given? Because they are gonna be walkers. I have observed it, I live here. This is part of the reason I purchased my home in this neighborhood. Before these multiple transitions, my kids would have only had 3. That would have been LP Vaughn, NJH, and then Nagger Central. I'm one of the ones that do not like change. I am content with that. So with that being said, now that my kids are literally from LP Vaughn to 1 at NJH, 2 at Weaver, and then the other twins going to East, and now 1 at Nagger Central, all that changing, I do not like. I mean, so as long as there are changes in safety is gonna happen off campus, we could be happy. But if not, then y'all really need to make sure that that's something that's being put into place.
Yes, ma'am. What I can tell you there is, and I appreciate your candor. We need to have you at many meetings to.
No, you don't.
Yes, ma'am. But I can tell you, we can engage our partners with the city and DOTD, and we will do that. But I just can't vouch for what they are able to do / willing to do. I know our mayor is very much in favor of the Texas Street Corridor and improving that, and I would hope that he would be a good partner, and I have no reason to think otherwise.
And I believe that too, but at the end of the day, when it comes to these kids, we're looking at all you men and women on this panel. So when we have issues, we have concerns, yes, we're gonna start with the teachers, we're gonna go to the principal. But at the end of the day, it's gonna be on school board. So the same way I'm coming to you now, I expect you to speak to the Department of Transportation, because if I can't talk to them, they're gonna listen to you before they listen to me, because y'all are gonna y'all gonna have to work hand in hand. So I do want, and I do expect, like plenty other parents, that although it's out of your control what they do, at least you advocate for us and make sure you push and press forward. Because yes, you are here for the kids, but make sure you are here for the kids' education and their safety as soon as they walk off their property. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I got a question with
with the kids walking, your concern is with the traffic?
Yes.
Okay, well, if it's with the traffic, that need to be addressed through the city police that, hold up, let me finish. The city police need to be called at the traffic that there's people speeding down the street. We can't make the city police or the sheriff department patrol that street, but if the people that live on that street, and these people is going up and down these streets fast, we need to be contacting them to come patrol that street to make sure these kids safe.
Right.
And we want the kids to be safe, but we can't watch them all the way where they have to walk.
No, you can't. What I'm saying is that these kids are gonna cross Texas Street. Weldon in Texas. We know Texas Street speed limit is 35 miles per hour. There used to be, years ago, they had a crossing guard there. I know he passed away, one of them passed away, then the other one that was there, he was so scared to get out his car, but then they shifted him over to Naggy Center. So he was up and he was sitting in his truck now. So that being said, I'm telling you, once you get there at that intersection, that's what works. As they coming right here, we know they got police officers sitting, so yeah, they're adhering to the speed limit, which is 15. But once you get there, and those kids may say, okay, well, I'm gonna walk today, or I done missed my bus, now I gotta walk home. Yes, it's within a mile and a half or over 2 miles to walk, but I am going to walk it. How are they gonna get across Texas Street, well, the other end of Wells Street, Texas Street, and right here, when you know that traffic is just vroom, vroom. There is nothing, there is no sign that says slow down between the hours of 7 and 9 and 2 and 3, however you wanna say it, once you go right there and that little spot is congested. Yes, I have reached out to the police. I've also reached out to the chief of police, did not get a call back, told that I need to direct my statements to another source in the police department, because that was from his assistant or someone else. Then I spoke with another lady at another town hall that they had at the rec. So of course she knew who I was because I called and I spoke because I was concerned. But we've been here before, and I've observed it before, so yes, that's why I say that is something that is very important to me, because I'm not crazy, y'all not crazy, kids are gonna do it. It may be 1, it may be 2, it may be 5, it may be 10, but you're gonna have a child that is gonna cross that street.
You see, I thought it had a crossing guard, and I guess if we can't get a crossing guard, let's get with the state or somebody, and let's see if they can put one like over there at the college by Chick-fil-A, where when they try to get ready to cross, push that button and the lights get in place.
There is a city unit, there's some ones, not all.
Them units,
But as long as they're walking, there needs to be someone that
they say that's a crossing guard because we did not there, they sit in their car.
Let me say, we had that problem before. It was at.
Yeah, you've been at my house.
And so I think what she's saying again is that we have to intentionally create good partnership that all of us can work together for the betterment of our citizens.
Yeah, because while y'all planning now, go ahead and put that on the plan, because that need to be addressed. Just like y'all plan school routes, bus routes, a year in advance on that calendar, put it on y'all calendar and get that straight, because that's gonna be something that's really gonna hurt my nerves.
And let me say something about crossing guards and things like that. We discovered then it was a financial situation, and they were really upset that they weren't getting the money that they had been promised by other entities. So we addressed that situation. I want to recapitulate just a little bit, go back just a little bit about this whole ordeal. This whole thing comes about when we reopened this school. Now, I wasn't on the school board at that particular time, but at some point we did get on the board, and one of the biggest issues we had was passing a bond. That bond took 3 times for it to pass. It actually passed eventually because there was some promises. We would name some different buildings and things like that. It was actually had not done was actually contracted the roofs and actually fix the roof. We asked, was there didn't we get some type of guarantee as they fixed the roof? Well, eventually, we've gone through CFO 2, okay? We eventually got Mr. Watson. Then we had gone to a couple of maintenance people. And all of a sudden, we discovered that was never put into the bond in the first place. So now, we sit here dealing with something that this building shouldn't have ever been open with the roof leaking the way it is. And nobody's going to guarantee you anything by patching the roof.
Thank you.
Nobody's going to guarantee you anything on patching the roof. So we're here now saying that these children are not in the best place right now. And it's up to us to do something about it. Whether it's a temporary move or whether it's a permanent move. I would not want my children in a situation like this. So that's where we're at now. The way this needs to happen is up to these 11 around the horseshoe that's listening to you all to give us guidance to do the best thing. That when I got on the board, the only thing I ever heard, it's about the children. And that's what it needs to be about today, about these children.
And that's what I said about the children. Those who need transportation, not in that rain, not to walk in that rain.
Thank you for
That's
your
the
input.
only
We
thing.
appreciate that. Ma'am, we are contacting the DOTD tomorrow with some concerns that they've been leaving. So we appreciate your input. And just to let you know too, this whole board up here, we're all parents, so we feel your concerns, we hear that. And I'm an insurance agent on the side, so it makes my heart skip to the beats when I think about kids crossing the highway. So thank you so much for your input. Now, next, we are going to recognize Ms. Rose again, and then after Ms. Rose, we have Ms. Annette Rock, and then Mr. Cross-Eyes third. And then we have a couple of friends over here that want to speak as well. And we're here all night, so we're really back time.
When I get that mic. Thank you.
I like to sit there and address some issues. And I know I have been speaking with several board members and stuff about the bus transportation. Mr. Lee Watson, Mr. Ely, Mr. Lloyd, Mr. Harrington. We don't have enough transportation, which Mr. Lloyd, you do know. Mr. Harrington, you know, and Mr. Lee Watson, y'all all know. We don't have enough bus transportation to accommodate all these kids that we're about to have. And also, the crossing from Welch over to Texas, I agree, unsafe. Also, you have to look at the fact is that you're not only gonna have that situation, you have kids that's already east that are working these things. So when you're looking at the big impact, you have to look at a lot of kids that's in the Natchez district gonna be bus drivers now they're walkers. So when we sitting up here looking at the school closure, we need to also, as you say, look at the fact that the kids is gonna need bus transportation. A lot of the parents are gonna be leaving home. Some of the buses cannot go down those small streets. So they will be going to destinations out their house. So we all need to sit here and think about it. I understand that when I spoke with Lee Watson back at the last meeting stuff, he said that we had a insurance issue. They haven't been accommodated for this building. And I wanted to know, have we gotten that money? Okay, so when y'all do get the money, or y'all consider fixing the building?
We have to get the money first. first. We've been waiting since 2020, so we have to actually get the money first.
Okay, another question. Do y'all have a lawyer to accommodate with the insurance company, or how are we trying to find out where the money is?
Yes, we do have representation.
Okay, so we need to figure out that issue too, to find out when we are going to get the money to fix the building. And also too, I know I spoke with Mr. Eloy a couple of months ago about the issue, and he's quoted that y'all gonna utilize the gym. You can't utilize the gym because you stated that it's raining. So how are these kids going to do basketball? How are they gonna do that? Where's the state? I'm not finished. And y'all put all this money into this school, the track issue and all this. So basically, y'all done spent a bunch of money on this building and it's gonna be waste. Also, my next question is, when you vacate, because he doesn't want anybody to say bandit, which is gonna be bandit, and it's gonna be like the issue like it was before. Yes, it is. How are we going to actually really secure the building where no one's gonna break in and basically just tear it up like they did before?
So I use the word vacate because there is a significant difference between abandon and vacate. And I believe you're discussing the MLK Head Start Center, which was abandoned, but not by this board. This board has no ownership rights to the MLK Head Start building. That is owned by Bessie. I have been on multiple phone calls with all the state entities that have confirmed to myself and the mayor that that building is owned by Bessie. So when people get frustrated by that building, because it was abandoned, and they make the comparison here, we had no right, we had no legal right to go into that property and do anything to that building, whether it's mow the grass or put up any sort of structure to prevent people from coming in. The difference between that building and this building is we have a responsibility to continue to maintain this building. And so, to answer your question, on the first part, if this is to pass, some things that we've already discussed that we would have in place, this building, for one, it is able to be more secure than the Head Start building. There's less windows, albeit still windows. Relatively new doors that are easily locked and have strong mechanisms for that. The other piece of it is we would keep electricity on here. When you take the electricity off of the building, that typically allows people to come in and it allows them to take away the copper. It makes it more advantageous for them to come in because there's a financial reason for them to come in. The other piece of it is we would also leave some of our bandwidth running to where we would still have cameras in this building. Now, part of that same conversation is we would still utilize this gym when able to for basketball. Because the rainstorm started leaking. Mr. Freddie was here at the game, called me up. Miss Conde had to pivot, and thank goodness Snack Central didn't have a game, and they were able to go over there and finish the games out. So it would still not be ideal, but we would still utilize that. What I've said in terms of how the students who are the new Natchez junior high students at Magnet able to come here for practice, we've talked about getting a bus, purchasing it through DRE. That would be an activity bus specifically for NJH, so that they would still be at the end of school able to get the football team to come over here for football practice, get the basketball team to come over for basketball practice. Is that ideal? No, it's not, but I'll be very honest with you. We have a shortage of gymnasiums in this parish. And we can schedule like crazy, but we have volleyball going on, we have basketball going on, we have girls basketball, boys basketball, junior high basketball, all those things. So we would be in a situation where we would still have to maintain and have some occupancy of this building, which would be good also in the sense that the more foot traffic that occurs in this building, even when vacated, not But I think a big deterrent is keeping electricity on and also keeping the cameras rolling. But I did say that to you, Ms. Rosemary. I didn't say we are telling everyone vacate versus abandon, because I do believe words matter. And there's a big difference between those two.
Ms. Annette? Hello.
Part of the puzzle. How are these kids gonna get their health care needs? Because parents have to work. They don't have all day to go to the walk-in clinic. They don't have all day to go to their pediatrician's office and make an appointment. And in Agnes, you cannot have an appointment when you need it. You're spread all the way out for 2-3 weeks, okay? My concern is, Zoom meetings between a doctor, telemeetings, telehealth. That's not going to work on a kid that's got cramps, headache, that needs a albuterol treatment. So have we thought about how we're going to address this issue also? Because as I said, we treat all the little sick ones at Elmont, we treat all the sick ones here at NJH. Thank you.
Yes, I know this is a very valid concern, and I do believe we're not going to sit here and say that telehealth is equal to what y'all do, because it's not. But one of the things, if you notice on the agenda, there's another item, which is the Goldana closure. And so there is an ability to address the number of nurses that would be at these sites. Would we be able to replicate the health center? No, because that's its own entity. But there would be an ability between telehealth and the reconstitution of the number of nurses district-wide to still provide I would say a really robust program. I would believe you could have 2 nurses at the new NJH, 2 nurses at Magnet, and telehealth between those 2. And then at the same time, because y'all as a unit have always had those NJH students, I still think there's a mechanism where having that activity bus, maybe it's a Friday during flu season, students who sign up still get to come over to the health center to get those flu shots and things of that nature. It would look different, but I think that's something that we still need to offer for the health of the community for sure. And I hope my staff is taking notes, because this is y'all are bringing up some very good topics.
Mr. Parsons?
I'm going to say this before I go on You don't have to answer now, but the children come to school to be counted. They buy ice cream, cookies, everything, Title I program. Somebody know what I'm talking about. You all get money from the federal government, true? Okay. I'm talking now. But what I'm saying is, when all this money is generated off of our children, I don't know what y'all do with the money. If I would say that you all have a bank account, and I'm talking about stock bonds and everything, let's say you have a figure around about 80 million, okay? All right, well, I know you say no, but anyway. But saying what I'm saying is, next time that some of you all come to meet the public, you all need to have some better answers. Because the superintendent is the only one besides Brother Harris and the gentleman in here, talking and the gentleman right here. What I'm saying is, you're not giving the people what they actually want to hear. Now, you talk about closing the school down, but you talk about letting them see it come here and play basketball. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Like what Steve said, well, how long this building has been in this condition? How long has this business been in this condition? My thing is, if it's broke, you all use second-hand contractors to save money to do past job. Well, apparently, whoever y'all got to fix the building, they didn't have insurance because somebody would be liable for this whole building if this building leaking and everything. Trouble y'all have. It's the worst it ever since. I don't know what happened to that last minute. Tell me quick. I don't blame you. But anyway, I'm gonna go home. Here you go, boss.
I would like to say something. First, we understand about the children being in the rain, but when I was young and going to school, I stood in the rain and waiting on the bus. If my mom was off that day, she would drive to the bus stop, and we were waiting in the car to catch the bus. But it's been a long time. Just coming in with negative comments is not going to get us anywhere. Your time is up. Good night. I asked you before what was on your mind. You didn't say anything. Amen. So we have heard your points. Y'all are all making valid points. The crossing guard, that is something we look at the bus transportation. We have kids right now that live in Baylor High, Bricktown, and they catch the bus. I don't see why that would be a problem for our kids over here to catch the bus and be bused over to Maine. It shouldn't be, it shouldn't be a problem. This building, I work this building. This building is not fit for our children. This building has rats. Why wouldn't you want your child to be at a school with bright walls, clean floors, bright ceilings, in a better learning environment? You have to know, I know this building has been here for a long time, it's been in our district for a long time. It's named after an educator, but we have to have an open mind and look forward. You have to want something better for your children. And moving these kids will be better for them. Yes, there are things that need to be worked out. The telehealth, not the telehealth, but the medical part of it. Yes, that is awesome for them. Hopefully we can work that out where they can continue to have that. But you have to have a mindset that you want something better for your children. And this school is not it. This school, when you go to those bathrooms, it's horrible. When you go to those classrooms, it's horrible. I heard your concern about the transportation, right? I want to see our kids in Baylor Heights be picked up and taken to the school. If your child got picked up, would you be okay with the moving of the schools?
What you don't understand and what I guess a lot of these older people, people say this is a old school, it's history, it's black history.
It is.
But you young.
No, I'm 50.
You don't know what we went through back in the day.
Okay, but what does the school have to do?
Back to the same thing. They taking us back to the same thing.
Like how? Like how?
These schools are not going to get the same thing that we were and the rest of these schools get it. They going to get it before the school.
Well, we're trying now to move your children to a better school. So, you have to start somewhere. This school is history, but at the same time, this school is old and it's dilapidated. It is time for us to move on to something better.
Until you move magnet into it, and then you made the improvement, you invested the money into the kids.
But that was a different board.
Sufficient for the kids when you move magnet.
That was a different board, 2016. Okay? So nobody is trying to,
get rid of this school and like the man said, why you couldn't send leave magnet here and send those kids over there to east? The black kids that you
leave magnet right here?
No, leave magnet where it is now. Just like the man just said. He said, why y'all leave magnet over here and send the other kids over there to east? But
it's not enough classroom issues.
You're the same amount of children and just about all these schools are going to be.
Moving these children to magnet will be the best thing. It will be the best thing. Have you looked at the proposal? I will sit down with you and we can look at the proposal.
These ladies were first.
I may be a little slow, but I have a question. The school board has a maintenance department. Why does the maintenance department not check these schools?
Right.
During the school year or during
and it would have got like it would.
Okay, well, you have it. Why you put them in some other passion instead of
Did you have rats over there? You're so concerned about what's best for the children, but still in all you
been taken care of, if any building would be taken care of in a consistent basis, it is a much smaller amount of money to put into a building to keep it sustained. But all I can tell you, I've been in Magnus 5 years. This building was not in great shape 5 years ago. Has it exacerbated? 100%. But there were people who did things 20, 30 years ago that have led to this. Now, do we have a responsibility? Yes, ma'am. But we're at the point now where the problem is so consequential, so expensive, that although your logic is so sound, we can't fix it with that logic anymore because it's been neglected for so long.
Okay, another question. Okay, you're moving the kids. The building, East Natchitoches is not as old as this building, so if this been kept up, my question is, why wasn't this? I'm just curious, it's just a question.
So have things been done? Again, I can only speak to my 5 years here, and y'all hear me say it all the time, and some of you may roll your eyes at it, and some of you may believe me. I do believe in equity, and I do believe in treating every school, and some of these board members have come to me. I know Pastor Harris come to me and said, you better treat Lakeview the same way you treat Natchez Central. We've had conversations about that, and all I can tell you is every day I try to do that. Now, that being said, there are some things particular to the architecture of this building that do make it a little more difficult to maintain. For instance, this dome. How often do you see domes in junior high schools? It's not typical. If you also look at the material in the dome, it's an out-of-date material from the 60s and 70s that it was actually used sugar cane stock. It is another issue with the cost of some of this isn't so much that some of it is neglect. I'm not going to deny that. Some of it also is the uniqueness of the materials in that they are obsolete materials. So instead of, oh hey, we're just going to replace it with something with the same thing, the uniqueness of the building, the historical nature of the building that many people mentioned, does make it more costly to address. Now, I'm not going to sit here at 50 and say that's the whole story, because I do think collectively, not individual board members, but collectively, boards for the past multiple decades, superintendents for the past multiple decades, staff for the past multiple decades, principals, whatever, we could have done a better job. But now we're in a situation where we can sit here all day and point fingers and blame, and some of that's legitimate. And I got big shoulders, they got big shoulders, we can take some of that. Because they're elected officials and we deserve some of it. But at the same time, they can't gonna spend, they can't go back in time, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And I don't know if that's a good answer or not, but that's all I got.
Pastor Harris and Mr. McGuire know that I wanted to voice.
You'll be recognized in just a moment. Can you say that again, ma'am? I'm sorry.
Pastor Harris and Mr. McGuire know that I don't mind voicing my opinion because they know me very well.
Let me say this right before we close this. Again, the prior administration was given information that I think that they thought that they were doing the right thing. One of the things that they were trying to do is get the bud passed. But I think if they had told the people that they're going to have to get some more money to do the roofing and things, I think the people would have passed it more on that than to name it after something. But when you don't have the money to, the only way you can do this right now, the only way, and I don't know if you can get people to do it because of the trust factor. You pass enough money and do it. But you need money to put roof and whatever else they got going on here. I'm just saddened that when they got ready to open this facility, that opening, that they didn't take into consideration that there had been some deterioration going on. And these guys caught it after the fact. And when they did catch it, they came to us and let us know we got a bigger situation than what we thought.
Pastor Harris, can you speak to that? And I forgot to say, we have that, the sheriff's mayor, we abandoned this building, previous administration, for how many years?
Yeah. Yeah, and Mr. Carlisle is here, listen, again, the questions and the concerns that you all have is legitimate. But the people who has it in their hands now informed us and gave us the information we needed to make a decision as opposed to the ones who were trying to appease us. Listen, just tell me the truth so I can make an informed decision. And when we did get the right information, we were able to say, hey, this doesn't look good. And the only way we can fix the situation is two things. You move the junior high or try to find somebody, the actual thing about the insurance. Listen, I don't have any choice about that. I don't know if we will even get the money. They've been fighting.
So what was it? Ms. Washington, if you'll wait just a moment, we have another lady 2 rows behind this lady. We're not through with your concerns yet, because I did want to talk to you for safety after Pastor Harris. Yes, maybe raise your hand a couple times, but before we get to you, I do want to tell you that we have an excellent maintenance department. Every month for our meetings, we get an itemized report of what's been done in each and every campus that we get. And I don't want to speak for any other board members, I'm only speaking for myself. But one of the reasons why I ran for school board in the first place is because I personally heard concerns from teachers teaching here. We've sent work orders in and no one's paying attention to us. And probably our first 2 years on the board before we reconstructed and formed a maintenance department and hired a maintenance supervisor, those were deep concerns that needed to be addressed. And that predated pretty much everybody on the board. We keep pointing to Mr. McGuire, but he's been around a while. But, yes. But I don't want you to leave here today thinking that we're not looking at the maintenance of every single campus that we have. And like Dr. Eloy said, I want to echo that for a second. Some of the things that we're having to deal with are so rooted, like really bad problems. I can't think of a better way to say it. Where it's been dilapidated so long, we're having to make tough choices. And that's what brought us here today. But it's not that we have a lack of a maintenance department, lack of part of this job, and we're very grateful to have him. So, but we do, every month, we get a detailed list, itemized list of everything that's been done in the maintenance department. And those documents are available online. So, and ma'am, I mean, I've reached it several times tonight, so.
Well, I have two concerns. What's gonna happen to the school? I know y'all say y'all gonna keep the lights on. Is it gonna be like an empty building? Is it gonna be like torn down?
That would be at the will of the board. And to be honest, kind of have to, I think there's been informal discussions about that, but you have to kind of get through this first discussion and have to vote on that, and then you would have more robust conversation about that. I can tell you, and I don't want to speak for the board, but I do believe in some way I can. I think the board learned a lot of lessons with the Clucheville closure, because that building was allowed to sit vacant and dilapidated, and very quickly it diminished significantly. Very quickly, once electricity was turned off, people raided the building and took copper, and very quickly it became a blight on Clucheville. So what I can tell you is, I know from this board, I can't tell you what they want to do next, because and next is all dependent on what happens next Thursday. But I can tell you there's a desire to not repeat the Clucheville process, which allowed that facility to really just become blight on that neighborhood.
Because we know what the future could hold, you know? My next concern is when the school moved and when the children come from East Maggage to NJH and they have to walk through metal detectors and like be checked in the mornings and they don't even get to take their iPads home, and we talk about equity, you know, I just want to know, like, is anything gonna change on that front? Is that?
So I will tell you, I share your concerns about metal detectors. Although one of the things I did when we put metal detectors in, we put them in every school. Because more often than not, what ends up happening is in school districts, superintendents and boards pick and choose. This school needs a metal detector, this school doesn't. And you can fill in the blanks as to maybe why they make those decisions. I won't elaborate. But we live in a day and time now where the reality of safety is a very scary prospect for all school districts. And so we put those everywhere. I will tell you, I'm not a fan of them because aesthetically.
Can it be more like fun or more like you come into school and like maybe some music is playing or?
So I think what you're specifically talking to, and I don't know which school you're talking about. But
I mean, I've been to LP Bond, I've been to Weaver, I've been to East Maggage, and I've been here. And if they did have metal detectors, it wasn't a need to where, you know, we have to go through the bags. And I know they don't have lockers either, so, but.
No, I think
I'm just concerned with junior high, like middle school, junior high, you know, like having a different feel, like you're going from middle to high school. Like, are they gonna be going through the metal detectors at high school? And search, I don't remember that.
When I was in high school, you know, we didn't have it. And I remember Columbine having it. And the next year, we had metal detectors. And then the next year, we had ID bags. And then the next year, we had uniforms. So we're living in a time where there's some things we're doing that we don't necessarily like because it doesn't feel like school. It doesn't feel like school was when we were kids. But the responsibility and the fear of the worst things that we know are happening around this nation in different schools make us make those decisions and habits. Now, one of the things you're talking about is you're talking about school culture. The board doesn't really set policy for school culture. That's something that, as a staff and really the school-based administrative team, we're always trying to improve it. And, I mean, not to pinpoint any school, but there's probably schools in our district that have what you would term a fun culture, and there's probably schools in our district that have for lack of a better term, a less fun culture.
you can email me at grant.ela@psb.la, and we can have that conversation offline. But I do think that's important.
Do you have kids in high school yet? Okay, there's music at Nightmare Central in the mornings, and it makes the kids so happy. Like, they absolutely love it. Thank you for your input. We sincerely appreciate it. And tell them the music makes you yes. Okay, Ms. Rosemary, you keep moving on us. I can't keep up with you.
I know I have conversation, but, and this is it, I know I don't know. I know, Mr. Eloy said that we're gonna keep the lectures. I'm just basically trying to figure out how much is it gonna cost to keep the lectures down where no one's in the building? Do we have an answer for that? Maybe we could.
Yeah, you work for the city, maybe you can tell us. Do you know?
I know. I'm asking y'all what this building would cost with no one's in it.
I know, Mr. Watson, I don't know if you can help with that at all, but,
Yeah,
but I know we
okay.
had the LED lighting.
Also, too, I was basically this coming from off my head. So why haven't we all talked about Marthaville? Marthaville is an old school, but we didn't talk about that school. It rains in that school, which I went over there with the bus. You know, I toured a lot of schools. You know, the last couple of weeks. It rains there. Native Community High is a lot better than which we went on about the funding and X, Y, and Z. And I know it wasn't for you all that made that decision of closing the school before, and we had an issue with the bus transportation then, and which we're gonna have an issue with the bus transportation without making a change, which y'all already made your mind up anyway. So basically, my big concern as a council that represent District 4, we're gonna have a abandoned building that's gonna be sitting here where no one's in. Eventually, it's gonna get broken into. No one on that board or myself can say that they'll be able to hold a position, because you never know who runs against you. So this building will be abandoned and something will happen to this building. So at this point, we need to make a decision of how you will secure this building. It need to be in writing for the next person to actually really monitor this building. Because we have kids that's in this area, they wander a lot. They would actually really break into a building. I know a lot of y'all don't want to hear it. I know a lot of y'all know that the building will get broken into. No, you will not keep the lectures down. I know you won't. Anyway.
Has been broken into while it's been occupied. Then the building has been here for a time period where nobody was occupying it.
And it got broken into.
Issues.
I know, I understand the
But
issue.
that's the thing, you keep saying what we ain't gonna do, what we ain't gonna do.
But you're not.
Well, Ms. Rosemary.
I'm listening to you.
Ms. Rosemary.
Yes.
Look, you said, well, what are you gonna do about electricity? You gonna cut it off, don't cut it off? You're answering your own question. Yes,
I'm answering
this is an
your question.
asset
Okay.
that we have to maintain. This is a taxpayer asset that we will maintain.
Exactly, and
And
we
the
as
thing about it
taxpayers
is,
use
you
the
have
money.
to give us the opportunity to do that. Do we have 100% plan for the next 8 years to build? No. Does anyone have a plan for the next 8 years?
So do you have a plan for the next 2 years?
We are in the process of making decisions that are changing this district.
Make a decision as we speak.
We do have teams in place.
But you didn't have street transportation in place.
Mr. Science asked the question, why doesn't everybody speak? Because you and I are speaking over.
But I was talking at first.
We have designated the superintendent and the president.
So but we didn't have, we all were making decisions and making sure, y'all didn't have nothing in place. Y'all don't know how the kids gonna get to and from school. You don't.
I disagree with you, but Ms. Rosemary.
We really don't.
Thank you for your comments.
But I'm just saying you don't. We just basically just sitting up here elaborating on what we're gonna do. And then we all made a big decision on why y'all gonna do this to these kids. I understand that the building is in bad shape. And I understand that you all didn't make that decision. But it was on you all to make sure that the building was upkeep.
Ms. Rosemary, I want to address some of you things first.
All of the things that y'all have brought up are the same questions that we ask. When they bring these things to us, we have to have a discussion about all of this. Transportation, first question I asked, how is this going to affect the buses? I was the principal at Weaver. I was also the principal at Marthaville for 4 years. And I will say, as far as your comment about Marthaville, the school is in fantastic shape, and it has been kept that way for many different reasons. It is an older facility, but the facility is in good shape. And I welcome anyone to come see it. The issues brought up about the walkers and the crossing guards is an excellent issue. And that's something that needs to be talked about, put a plan in place before any of this happens. And whether or not this happens still has to be voted on. But these issues and these comments are the things that we have to take into consideration before we vote on this. We did have a cross guard at Weaver years ago. It's been a long time ago, I know. I don't know if they're still there. But I know cross guards need to happen, right? And that'd be on us to make sure that we do everything we can to make sure that that happens. The school-based health center was another excellent issue that was brought up, and one that I had not thought of before as well. That is also something that needs to take into consideration how we want to handle that. One thing I do think needs to be brought up about this particular school that we haven't said tonight that is eye-opening for me is the BRE funds, the funds that the taxes bring in to help us keep up the facilities. For the city schools, they're shared. There's one fund, and all those city schools share that money. I don't know what the exact, Mr. Watson may be able to tell us, I don't know what percentage of that BRE that is currently being taken up from just one site. 27%, it's high, right? For the number of students and for this facility, that means all of the other city schools are getting less money to be kept up because it's taken us so much money to keep up this facility right now. And I just wanted to make that point. That's something we all need to think about, right? Because that's hurting our other kids in the city schools because so much money is being taken up just to keep one facility up.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Rosemary just left, but I sagaciously suggest that create a 501c3 and do like Shady Grove. The Shady Grove community has one of the best schools, community center that it shares history of the school, different things that go on the school, keeps people in it and things like that, but it's a community center. And it shares the history of the school and things like that. And it just doesn't just go down. Because if you don't find something to do with it, somebody else will find something to do with it, like going, breaking in it, and drugs and things like that. So the community itself can create an organization. One of the reasons we could not do that with Gucciaville is because Gucciaville was not incorporated. You know? So if somebody wants to get with me, we can help to create something that we can actually, I don't know how we go by doing it, but I wouldn't want to see this school just go down, because I play ball here too. And I don't know what the ultimate vote's gonna be, because I do know this. I think it was me and Mr. Benefield who encouraged this town hall meeting because of what you all have done tonight. You all have given us a whole lot of great insight on things that we may have overlooked, especially the young lady that talked about kids needing nursing and medical different things. I never thought about that. So I thank God that we came here and we heard Mr. Nicholson put it down pen by pen. But I do think the community can still do something with this school.
Thank you, Reverend Harris. Is there anyone here tonight who is non-spoken and they would like to speak? Yes, sir.
First, I say good evening.
My name is Tony Rainey, one of the local ministers. We're about 30 years now since we've been in Natchez Parish. And thing that is going on right now is just the bittersweet of it, of the people in the city. If you would just use the phrase, it don't look right. Say it look right. The truth be told, when to close this school down, this ain't the first time that it's been on the docket. So this ain't nothing new coming. Okay, that's one thing. To know that the school was in bad shape, that's not new. And to see that the school board spent so many millions on a new office and then got to turn around and close the school, that don't look good. Okay? And to hear the complaints in the city that I'm paying this much money on my child got this, and they got to deal with this every day. I don't know why the magnet school had to be over there. We don't need to be on that side. And then now here's the result. Magnet gonna be moved back across town. You got to see the stuff that's the overall view of it. And again, I said, it just don't look right. And when it comes down to it, as a black man, you would still say, we always get the short end of the stick. And that's what don't look right. So when we say keep the building open, how can you keep a building open if it's damaged or it's unsafe to be a school? How can it be anything else? Other than going to say we need to demolish it, we need to tear it down. But if it's not safe to be a school, it's not safe to be nothing else. Okay? But it seemed as if just follow the money. Like I said, going on 30 years, I know a lot of some of the faces. The day you close, go down, I believe it when I see it. I've heard that almost 30 years. But somehow or another, it always come back up, it always stay open. It just things that happen in Natchez to where when it comes to the kids, when it comes to the students, it just seems as if it's not fair. And when you hear the community speak about it, on both ends, I consider myself a people person, I'm a stranger. So when I hear it last year, we ain't worried about it, we just gonna make it through the year, and we gonna get that magnet school moved, we're not gonna deal with that, it don't need to be over there, and now here's the proposal. Let's move magnet. Let's close this. That's the kind of stuff that you have to see to where you at, why? I don't know, but out of all days, the meeting get to be on a playoff game night, it just don't seem right. Because without a playoff game tonight, it would be a lot more people here than it is right now. I know, but I'm just saying the things that just don't seem right. And you just look at it overall, like I said before, and I'm not here to bash the previous administration or nothing like that, okay? Just like Coach just said earlier, you got schools outside of Paris that's old, that's been in existence for a while. Somehow none maintenance getting out there. They still exist, they still here. As we said, this is not the oldest building of schools in Natchez Parish, but it's been closed down. This is the truth that has been neglected. Okay? But my thing is, look as a taxpayer, looking at all the money you spent on this building, in this school, and now turn right around and say, we finna close it. That just don't look right. Okay? So as going moving forward, we're just trying to say, image is everything. You need to look better than what it looks right now. It look like when you follow the money, you follow what's going on. Okay? Just like we've been asking for roads in the neighborhood like they're on Front Street, saying the same thing for the school. Thank you.
Mr. Tony, before we step down, thank you for those comments. And reality is, perception is reality. So one of the things that we wanted to bring to not in a closed boardroom, but we wanted to bring the opportunity for the whole community to ask questions, to do exactly what you're doing in this. And the board wants to be as transparent as possible. Yes, we did spend money on the technology bill, but it was earmarked for federal money for ESSER. Some of it, just a small portion of it, would be used on this building, but not a lot. So the money that it would be available would be a very small amount. But the board wants to understand the complexity of all the decisions that we make. And there's a lot of decisions that have to be made. There's a lot of moving parts. We've had some wonderful information today about a lot of different things. And transportation is one of them, and also healthcare. Also, crossing guards, logistics, busing, and all of these students are our students. We want to make sure that we're making the best decision for our students. Again, it's about our students. It's not so much totally about the dollar bill, but it is to make sure that we're doing the best with what we have. I appreciate your comments, I really do. But we wanted to give you the opportunity along with everybody else to speak. Thank you very much.
And I actually wanted to come up to you as well, because I don't disagree with you. Optics mean a lot, and the board knows how I feel. We went on a retreat, and we talked about in that retreat that there was a possibility of possible other school closures this long period. And one of the comments that I made, and I'm very aware of, is the fact that with Wildana not closing last year, and with this coming up, there is complexities to it, and we as a board know about those complexities. But to present it to the community, we know how it looks. We know that Clutcheville, a quote-unquote African-American school, closed in 2016. We know that the next time a school closure came up, Wildana, a quote-unquote white school, did not close. And then we know today we're talking about NJH, a quote-unquote African-American school. I'm not gonna sit here and blow smoke. That don't look good. But I also know that Mr. Emile McGuire put two things on the agenda tonight. He put Wildana closure, and he put the NJH reband. So, and I agree with you, acting louder than words. You gotta wait and see what transpires. I don't know what this board's gonna do, but I do think they are aware of exactly what you're saying. The other thing, and I know this comes as a surprise to everyone, but I'm a middle-aged white guy, and I'm not going to sit here and try to act like I can speak to the unique experience of an African American in Nashville experience. I only lived here 5 years, and like I said, I'm a white guy. But when we sat in that room and we were trying to figure out what to do, and you can ask my staff, they won't lie for me. The question that kept coming up is, how do we do this in a way that's fair to everyone? And it's the best building in the city of Nashville, the current Nashville building. It is by far the best building. Now, why it is the best building and this isn't the best building, I can't speak to that. That was done years ago. I don't know why I wasn't here. I can't speak to it, but it's the best building. So me sitting here not knowing all the history of Nashville, not knowing all the wrongs that were done, I hear tidbits. This Pagefield kid comes on. I hear, but it wasn't my birthplace. I don't know all the details. But my thinking when I was trying to prepare this plan was, you have the students who have probably been passed over for the best stuff countless times. Middle school African American students, right? City school students. They have a chance to get the absolute best facility in the city of Nashville. And I think we're talking about a lot of other stuff, a lot of legitimate stuff. Kids being brain on, kids safety, kids medical. sins of the past, stuff boards have done. Some of these people are dead and gone. We're still fussing and cussing about what they did.
Because we still feel the result of it.
Yes, sir, you're right. But what I'm telling you is, in this decision, the decision was all about, let's do something that we have never done for a group of people that have, by the past, been marginalized. And I believe that in my heart of hearts. Now, I'm not going to sit here and, I got blinders. There's things I don't see, and that's why we're here talking. But I'm telling you, a lot of politicians, there's a lot of BS. When I sit with these people, I know their hearts, and you don't have to agree with their plan. It's not perfect. Half the plan's coming from me, and I'm telling you it's not perfect. But it's the best that we have right now while trying to solve this problem. And the thing that I am going to be proud of if they vote for this is that these 6 7th and 8th graders who have been in a facility that's not ideal, we all agree with that, are going to be in the best facility. And so, I don't know if that matters to you, but I just...
It matters. I just want you to understand from my perspective, I would say from a black man perspective or an African American perspective is that tell one time he told about the chicken and the pig and the cow want to do a breakfast. But the chicken said, I'll bring some meat. The cow said, I'll bring some milk. And they looked at the pig and said, well, what you gonna bring? Well, if the pig bring anything, he had to give his life. And that's how it seems with change. That's how it seems with changes in language. When changes have to be made, it's like the black folks have to get able. Like we want to have to give up the most for a change to be made. This is more than just a building. This is history. And when you look at it in language, what do we have as black people to look forward for? What do we, when they get out of school, the first thing they say they want to leave. Why? Because it's like at home we're always fighting. Like at home we always is against the odds. And that's what we're saying with another dominant black school in the area closing out. That's what we're seeing. That's what we're seeing. One other statement that metal detectors. I had a teacher to educate myself at least. Traumatizing. To walk in the building where you have to go through metal detectors. And I would say especially I can't get it. Look like they were the biggest one that I ever saw in my life. I'm just telling you the truth. That's traumatizing. That's very serious. Believe it or not, I've never been inside one just to go to preaching. To walk through that every day for school it is. So if you're going to use metal detectors, I say please put them in all schools. Because you never know where anybody can go. You're just having at one school and not the other.
They are in every school. And I'll tell you, the only thing, and I don't mean to put the only thing more traumatizing than the metal detectors is an event that the metal detectors hopefully prevent. I will say this, I do appreciate the dialogue that we're having. I think this is relatively unique, especially in this day and age in America, that we are able to have this dialogue, even if we're coming from different perspectives, and talking and instead of shouting at each other.
I would like to say something, please. Just want to say that Ms. Harvey wanted to speak first.
I have sat here and I think everybody had to say, I'm a grandmother of 11. That's not even in there, but I look at all these children, my grandchildren. I walked this school on a rainy day, and I saw the damage. And I told Dr. Ela, if I would have had a grandchild, I would have put him out there. Because it's not safe. It's all safety and protection for the children and the staff. That's what it's all about. And what they did years ago, open and close, I wasn't part of the board, I don't know what happened, I don't know what went on, but I'm here now, and I see what's going on now. And it's all about, and I understand routine. Anybody here that know me, I'm Voices for Autism, I have a son that has autism, so I know about routine. It's not gonna be easy for some kids, and some it's gonna be okay. But it's the best thing to close the school down for the safety of children and the staff. It's just that bad.
I could smell, I got sick. I felt bad when I left here. It's not safe. And I understand what y'all saying about the buses and all that. All that's gonna be taken care of. We're gonna make sure that the children get from point A to point B. We're gonna make sure that, but y'all have to understand, we're doing this for the children as well as the staff. It's not safe for the staff, but we're doing this for the children. Y'all have to understand. I understand what everybody said, and I'm the quiet one on the bunch, she'll tell you that. But I listen, I observe, and I pay attention, and I remember. And I'm gonna remember all of y'all. So when y'all see me again, say something to me. Say something to me. Voice y'all concern, because a lot of this what y'all said tonight, we did not know. We didn't know. We had no idea. And I didn't realize how bad it was. I came out here and walked on a rainy day. And I saw it for myself. It's not safe, y'all. It's really not safe. I don't live in this neighborhood, but anybody know me, I do a lot in this neighborhood with my organization. Voices for Autism. I do a lot. I love this area, I love the neighborhood, that's when I do a lot in the neighborhood. So I understand all y'all concerns, but we're thinking about the children, not the money or finance, none of that. The children, what's best for the children. And this plan is what's best for the children.
I'm sorry, when she's not joking about being quiet, when she said she wanted to speak, I was like, are you serious? You want the mic? So thank you, Ms. Harvey, we appreciate you. Ms. Sawyer, you wanted to speak?
Yes, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I want to first thank the school board for this opportunity to have this open forum for everyone to speak. And looking over the agenda of what you put here, it said that the building is 68 years old, and that you had an architect and an engineer to look at the amounting to the estimate of $60.4 million. But I just want to ask you all to please take into consideration everything that's been said here today, where everyone has spoken. And I know we want to do what's best for the children. My main concern has been, as we all spoke, about crossing from Welch Street to Texas Street. That's going to be the big issue. And we want the safety of the children. I'm going to ask all of you kids to just go back and reevaluate. Not saying that it cannot be done, moving the children to the magnet school. But look first to see if there can be some bids made, taken again, and see what can be done to really redo this building. I know most of us talk about saving, preserving history, but as we all know, we have to also be concerned about the safety of our children. And I just want to ask you all to please look at that very carefully again. See if anything first can be done with this building. If not, we have to move forward to move the children to a safer environment. So, thank you.
Thank you for your input. Yes, ma'am.
Listen to Ms. Paul's comment, and as a parent, let me say, like I told you at first, I don't like change. I also don't like rats. Now, my son does go here currently. He's in the 8th grade. I got twins that are coming here next year. So, I get it. I'm not tripping as a parent. I'm not tripping that school's not up to date. That's why the comments and the things that I was saying, I was speaking as if, okay, 9 times out of 10, hypothetically speaking, you have made your mind up, you're gonna close this school. So all the comments and stuff that I made about the transportation and the kids walking and their safety, that's just from the point of the mindset of you're closing this school, what's gonna do next with that? That's where my point was coming from. With the minister's comment about the optics of how the way it looks from being a playoff game and stuff, and you saying that of course this has been on the schedule, prior to that. What's more important? Watching some kids that you know probably gonna do good, or else the game is gonna be on Facebook Live and come here to speak your opinion. Although it's just an opinion, but it matters. So and that's only for a few minutes. So even with it having a playoff game or other things, I mean, I'm a mother of 4 gotta say and keep on going. But you're right, school is not that best. Yes, we do hope that it would be better. We probably hope y'all keep it over there. No, we don't want to deal with rats. But I just wanted y'all to know from my aspect of me speaking that that's where I was looking at if you were hypothetically already knew you close on the school and what's gonna take place and go next from there. That's it.
Thank you for your input. Yes, ma'am.
Just a couple of things. Comment that, the school was 68 years old. We moved in this building in 66. Maybe that's what they said, the 68. Because we moved from the old, central.
So that would make it 67 instead of 68 years old, correct?
Black's in 66.
Okay.
But we moved in here in 68 because we moved here.
Can't hear.
The other thing was, Reverend Harris mentioned about a 501c. I'm glad to help them with that because when they integrated the schools in 1970, the old, what's the Louisiana school now, they said that building, because that was Nathan Shire, and they said that building, was gonna be torn down because it couldn't be, fixed. Look at it now. So where did the money come from to fix that one? So why can't we apply for some of the money that they use to fix that building?
Okay, I can answer. Louisiana School was, yes ma'am. So, well, real quick, my math is wrong. You're correct. 57 years old. I missed a decade there. Ellis would say is, yes ma'am, no, it's important. Ellis would say is a line item for the state legislature. They don't receive MFP funds like we do. They don't receive bond issues, taxes, etc. They are purely, well, not the only, but one of the only state-funded schools that comes out of the governor's budget. And so their finances in general are totally different from any other public school in the state.
Because I know they were talking about tearing it down because.
Yes, and they just had a multi-million-dollar dormitory bill, but that was all straight from the governor's budget and the state legislature.
Because when they integrated the schools in 1970, we would have classes over here one day, and classes at that building over there another. Depending on what classes you had during the day, you had to catch a bus and go in between the two schools. Then when, they decided that they were gonna build the new school, that's when they said that there was, that building couldn't be repaired and it was gonna tear it down. So that's what I'm saying, all of that renovations and stuff that was done on that one, maybe that's why I was saying, I'm getting with, Reverend Harris, maybe some funds or something could,
Yes, ma'am. That building, the original Memphis Central High School was already torn down, and then Ellis took it over, and then, again, that was, it's just funded completely differently. I mean, they have a direct line to the governor, they have a direct line to state legislators, and, I mean, potentially we can get money from the state legislator, I guess, but it's not typical for a public school to do that, but it is very normal for Ellis to say, because they are considered, in fact, the governor's school. So it's just a different money. But your history of all that is completely
Okay, so it's unsafe at this point, and you said it's dilapidated and all that. Okay, so moving forward, what type of funding are we applying for to redo the school and reopen? So moving forward, what's the next step?
Yes, ma'am. Well, it'll be up to the board as to what next steps are. So say we vacate the building, say we move on, then it's up to the board to determine if, and I'm throwing out every option, I'm not saying any of these are things that have been spoken about. The board can consider tearing it down, the board can consider selling it to another entity, the board can consider rehabbing. But the rehab, like you spoke about, that's money we don't have. So the only
option there would be really that, that the insurance case that we had, that comes in, but as Ms. Health mentioned, that case has been on the docket for about 4 years now, and we have very good orders, but we have no timeline of if or when that money will actually happen, so.
But there's no grants that we can apply for this particular school to be rehabilitated?
So, at your disposal, there are some federal grants that are, I'm not super familiar with them, but there are federal grants for historic school sites. They don't provide 100% of the financing, but they do provide some money towards that. But the school still has to provide the bulk of that. And so, ultimately, what you would be talking about is, going to the taxpayers, which I think collectively, probably in this room, probably on this table, most people agree that that's not something that would necessarily be successful.
Either way, if the school was to be rehabilitated, the students would have to be a massive. It's a difficult situation. I said either way, if we did rehab the building, the students would have to be removed because it would be a massive project.
Okay, I'm scanning the crowd. I don't see any hands up.
Yeah, we do.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, you're good. Okay,
Found out two things, traffic and rats.
Is that it?
I would like to end the evening and ask Ms. Monday, you have some remarks for us. I know that you've been very patient, you sat with us this whole night. Is there anything you'd like to add or anything?
I can't hear.
She was just saying that she's being reflective and listening to everyone, and she just hopes that there's continued transparency and communication. Does that summarize it well?
Thank you.
We couldn't hear anything she said.
Thank you, Ms. Monday, we appreciate that. I do want to assure the community on behalf of the board that we have listened to everything you've said. We've made notes. We're already making plans to talk to PFTV. We had concerns about not having a school zone signage.
Ms. Page, you can probably put on the website to hire crossing guards. Now, so the issue will be, will we get people at this late juncture in the year that we can put that on the website tomorrow?
Look at you doing this. Thank you for being here. The other concerns we heard was telehealth, vaccination concerns, the historic value of the building, maintenance concerns, kids bringing iPads home. I know we had a concern earlier here about that. Utilities staying on in the building and all of our school buildings being neglected. We appreciate y'all, we hear y'all, and I do want you to know that any decision that's made is not half-hearted. I went to school here myself, 7th and 8th grade year, and the school is special to me too. So we appreciate you very much. And without any other questions, we'll end the night, and thank you again for your time.
Thank you so much, man. It's so good. It's so good.
How are you, Fran?
I don't know about no beer. He's not.